Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be taking a look at the next upcoming Uma that is going to be Mejiro Ardan. So like all my videos, when I kind of take a look at the Umas, we'll first take a look at the stat bonuses, then the aptitude and the skills, and then kind of my thoughts on whether or not you might want to pulver her, kind of in relation to what else we have coming around the corner that you might want to spend your carrots on instead. And so with that, we'll just go ahead and get right into it. So with the stat bonuses here, she has 10% speed, 20% wit. Gonna be pretty easy to get these stats up. I've always gotten kind of annoyed with some of the Umas that have these stats with my cards, primarily because I like power. Just because you usually will end up, like, especially with the bonuses here, maxing out speed and wit easily. And then when you max out the speed, you kind of have a problem with your power, especially because you don't want to be bringing power cards. So you bring heavy power sparks, but even then it's usually a bit harder. But you can always work around it. Not too bad, though. At least it's not guts right now. Now, when we take a look at the aptitudes here, we have A, turf, F, dirt. F, dirt means you definitely can make her work on dirt. Take a little bit more work. But F is a lot better than G. If you've probably been working on Aquarius Cup at this point, maybe if you've been trying to get like Mihono Bourbon Valentine's to work with her G, you'd probably realize, oh man, that is hard, but F is just one spark to get it to A, if you take her all the way to B, so it's not as bad there. Definitely able to make her work there. And then here she is E short, B mile, A medium, D long, which effectively means you can make her work in all of them, but kind of noting on the short, if you're going to build her for the next sprint for some reason, you're sacrificing the ability to get Turf S a little bit. Because, well, a little harder to get it because you're going to want to have 10 sparks to take this all the way up to A, which then just makes it harder to get lucky there. But it's still, if you're willing to put in the time, you can make it work. And then, of course, she's pace A. Now, I will say the nice thing I like about the aptitudes, like I talk about a lot of Umas that have it, she's only got 3 things she's A in. And then you have like late, which is D, front is C, and long D. Makes it kind of easier to kind of work around her with your other Umas if you really start getting into that heavy looping of great-grandparents trying to get a bunch of very strong Umas with a lot of your white skills to carry over into your actual grandparents that you'll be using to build parents for your aces. That's more long-term thinking, but it is nice to have those. Now, one thing that has been mentioned in chat is she does have an annoying secret event that you have to deal with when running her. Before we look at the skills here, I didn't even know this. Sometimes I don't really pay attention. I need to start covering this, the secret events a little bit more when I cover Umas as well. But she has this one where she can get a debuff called Legs of Glass, where she can shine an objective. Where she can shine in objective races as long as not afflicted by the bad practice condition, but will build up fatigue in her legs if racing continuously. Participating in a race 2 turns in a row will cause the loss of 10 energy and trigger the bad practice condition. Doesn't apply if the second race is an objective. So super annoying skill that you won't get rid of until the Kika show. So you have to deal with that for a little while. So that can be kind of annoying for parent runs. Doesn't mean you really can't use her. It's just something you'll have to deal with. Now when we look at the skills here, we'll look at her unique. A lifelong dream, a moment's flight. Seize the moment when close to the runner behind on the final straight. Slightly consuming endurance to greatly increase the velocity for a moderate duration. And so with this one, it's basically kind of like a triumphant pulse, but with a little bit more conditions of being right behind a runner. Target speed at 0.45, so it is pretty strong, but it does have a little bit of a stamina drain to it. It's effectively kind of a triumphant pulse, though, in that extent on that final straight. So it's pretty good overall, being greatly, but I wouldn't. It's the condition that makes it kind of not as strong as you see with other Umas. Innate skill, she has left-handed, so she has that by default. Preferred position, all I've got. The medium velocity skill. Then our awakening skills, pace chaser corners, always good to get the corner skills. You have a built-in heal, which is pretty nice, so that way you have a heal by default. as well as Come What May. And so as you can kind of see, she is more specialized towards mediums as she's built around that. So overall, pretty decent on the skills, but nothing too crazy. There's nothing that makes her stand out. And then you have your event skills, Prepared to Pass, Pace Chaser Savvy. You got All You Got, Steadfast, Pressure, Ramp Up. And Ramp Up actually is going to be a little bit decent. Going into Make a New Track now, you're not going to be able to get Ramp Up / It's On anymore easily. So you'll have to get that off either Sparks or some other means through that. But yeah, that's pretty much over on her skills. Nothing too crazy. Like, she's just kind of, to me, your average Uma. But there's nothing really that's too much of a detriment to her. She's just not stand out in that aspect. And if we could take a look when we get evolutions eventually, we have the evolve skill for her heal. What it adds here is it adds a speed increase to it. So not only does it heal now, it also gives her a speed increase. So pretty nice to have that. We'll be seeing some of that in the future with some other cards, like the Stamina Air Shocker, which is a heal that has speed increase built in. And then your Come What May gets evolved to be a 0.45 instead of a 0.35, so pretty good there as well. And yeah, so like I said, she's pretty average, nothing too crazy. The only thing that I would say that kind of stands out with there's a lot of Umas that are like this is the 3As. I really like to have that. If you've been watching my last couple streams, I've kind of started going into the grind again and getting parents, or well, great-grandparents ready for Make a New Track that has all the Unity, has the important Unity Cup skill sparks, so Ignited Power and Wit being the biggest ones, but maybe getting Speed built into it, and trying to get like a default generic good grandparent versus a great-grandparent. 3As makes it a lot easier at this point in time, so that you're more likely to get turf, or potentially medium for a future medium grandparent. Both of those could be good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Ardan there. Now, when we take a look at what's coming up around here, we are now going to be past Mihono Bourbon. You should have already done your polls at this point, unless you were kind of waiting for the overlap. If she's like an Oshi or something, you want to pull over her first. Although I definitely would advise Mihono Bourbon over that, but hopefully you just already done that. You already know where you're sitting at the carrots. Maybe you got lucky on Mihono Bourbon Valentine's. But after her, we have Admire Vega, which is more of an Oshi pick, but we do have Fine Motion Wit coming up. If you're in that situation where you might want to pull on this, you kind of want to hold on to your carrots a little bit. Plus, Kita-san Black, a meta long front runner. Now, we will get free pulls on her as well. And so the free pulls and being a meta frontrunner for longs, you're basically getting a discount. I feel like most people, if you can afford to do it with your carrots, you're going to want to do it on that banner just because of the discount. If you don't have the carrots, though, to put it up to 200, definitely don't. But then after that, you'll kind of have a little bit of a break before there's anything major on my radar. For most people, I'm going to say skipping the NTR Admire Vega banner is a good choice to make. And then you have like Seiyin Sky Ballroom that's a decent ways away, and Nishino Flower. So I think the biggest thing is just the Fine Motion Kita-san Black. But she is definitely an Oshi pick. So there's nothing standing out on her. And so if you're a meta chaser or you have other specific Oshis, she's going to be a very easy skip for you overall. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Mejiro Ardan. We'll be taking a look on my next video here on the Agnes Digital Power and Ines Fujin SR Wit card. But that'll be it for now. And if you like my content, if you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.